hello, welcome back. It is a time for Talking Bollocks. It is a time for the talking of bollocks, for bollocks to be talked. I, Howard Smith, will be doing some talking of bollocks. So welcome back. Lovely to have you all here. We are back. It is Talking Bollocks on this beautiful, sunny, shiny day that it is here on 24th of December, February 2019. Ooh, when are you listening to this? Is it in the future? Is it? It was... Is it in the future? That's pretty much got to be the case because I'm recording this today. Unless somebody listens to this today, it will be the future when you're listening to this. So, hello, future person. Isn't this brilliant, eh? Isn't this a great start? So, my name is Howard Smith. I am the lead singer in UK thrash band Acid Rain. I also perform comedy as Keith Platt, keithplatt.co.uk. I also perform comedy as myself, professional quizmaster, all sorts of bits and pieces, spoken word shows, you name it. And even 4-piece shows with Acid Rain. Yes, did a show as a 4-piece. Last week, in fact it was a week ago today, had to do a gig without Paul, who was very ill and has been ill all through this week as well. Has finally managed to get sorted out, but it's been a horrific time for him. So we got to do a gig as a 4-piece, and it was it was fine. We got through it. We had to drop a couple of songs out that we couldn't do, but other than that, I think we got away with it. Don't mention it to anybody. Don't tell anyone. Anyway, that was great fun. There's a video of that whole weekend experience and all the rest of it. For Patreon subscribers. And of course, if you are listening to this, you can also become a Patreon subscriber. Go to patreon.com/Howard H. Smith, and each month, for just $5, kids, that's including tax, less than £6. So come on, help me out. Every month you get exclusive content based on all sorts. Can be Acid Rain. You get another Bollocast, an extra Bollocast with any questions that you want asked of the interviewees. So there you go. Surely that's enough to make you go, oh my God, Howard, that's amazing. And if it is, then I'm pleased to hear it. So it is lovely to be back in your ears. What has been going on in the world of metal in the last month? Well, firstly, a live Bollocast came out for you all to listen to. So I hope you've all enjoyed a chance to have a listen to that. That's the main thing that's happened. What else? Well, awesome news. LOA are bringing out a new album. And as we all know on this podcast, that is Life of Agony. It certainly isn't Lamb of God. Life of Agony, Lamb of God. It's LOA or it's LOG, isn't it? So Life of Agony are starting to work on a new album, and it is potentially they're just kind of hinting that it's a conceptual follow-up to The River Runs Red, which is, of course, as we all know, one of the greatest debut albums of all time. And if you haven't got your head around that, then off you go and find The River Runs Red, preferably top shelf version, double CD. In fact, it might even have a DVD in it as well. Might even be a fucking 3-disc motherfucker. In fact, let's just check. I'm going to go and have a look at my collection now, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, it's a double disc. One's the CD, one's the DVD. CD's got tracks missing. Not tracks missing. Added tracks from the original CD. I'm sure I've done all of this before, and a DVD with lots of cool stuff on it. So anyway, yes, that's the River Runs Red. This is the River Runs Red episode. So that just promises to be fucking awesome. As does, in a similar vein, there's going to be a new Yngwie Malmsteen album. Hey? Anyone give a fucking shit about that? I saw the story on Blabbermouth or whatever it was, and it was like, new Yngwie Malmsteen. I was just like, is that dude really still going? Is that actually still happening? Do people go, yay, it's a Yngwie Malmsteen album, I'm really excited? I mean, who the fuck does that? Not even Mr. and Mrs. Malmsteen. The Malmsteens, right? Not even they are bothered about a new Yngwie. It's kind of weird as well, isn't it? Because it sounds going with this. I've already made that noise. You know where I'm going with this. Oh, you're not, are you? I certainly am. It's almost a I don't know, kind of like a Japanese sounding name. It's like Yngwie Malmsteen. That's just that is pretty casually racist what I've just done there, I think. I'm sorry. I do apologise. Yeah, can I have 2 pork balls, 1 beef and black bean sauce, and a Yngwie Malmsteen, please? I don't know what I'm doing now. I genuinely don't know what I'm doing. Sounds like it could be a kind of sushi. And the Yngwie Malmsteen. Again, is this sort of casually racist? Am I have I committed a terrible faux pas? Are you all going to shop me to the internet? Am I going to be all over Blabbermouth as a racist UK racist singer of UK thrash band finally exposed on podcast of shit? Who knows? But anyway, getting back to it, Yngwie, really, does anyone fucking care? Yngwie Malmsteen, really, does anyone care? Please get in touch. Please get in touch. No matter who you are, even if you are a member of the Malmsteen family. I honestly don't know why I'm finding this so funny, so I hope you are, because I am frankly lost it. Right, okay, I don't know what happened there, but moving on. After we've had the excitement of there being a new Yngwie Malmsteen album, I still don't know why that's funny. Potentially it isn't. So here we go. Yeah, it's our same old story comes back. Tim Ripper Owens once again defends Ronnie James Dio hologram. No one's ever really toured like that before. Yeah, well, they are not touring, are they? It's nearly said helicopter. It's a hologram. Okay, so it's no one is. There is a bunch of technology is touring. Some screens are touring. Simple as that. It's not Ronnie Dio touring. He is dead. Now, as is usual with most of these articles, half of it just tells the story of, like, brings us up to where we are now, as in, brings us up to the point that says, oh, by the way, this is what's happened so far. So to actually get something new, Owen said he is looking forward to hitting a road with the hologram once again. I want to do it because no one's ever really toured like that. I want to experience it, and to celebrate Ronnie and to do this hologram thing will be pretty cool. That's a bit of a reach. I understand it. Everybody has their own opinion, but me as a fan, I think to myself, I would love to see a David Bowie hologram show. I wouldn't. I mean, I would love to see a Frank Zappa hologram show. To be continued. I'd love to see an Elvis brackets. I love this about Blabbermouth. I'd love to see an Elvis brackets Presley show, really, because nobody is thinking, oh, Elvis Costello, because he's like not dead for a start. Because I remember the year. Oh, I'm sure we've had that jibber jabber from Ripper Owens before. Look, the jury is not out. The jury is in, and basically they suck ass, holograms. There's a fucking... It just shouldn't be allowed. But then again, what's the next story? Frank Zappa hologram tour dates announced. Now, you see, I think this could actually work. The whole thing has been curated by Amit Zappa, his son. And it's going to be, like, pretty fucking mental. And he actually says, my father and I actively discussed 3D and hologram work, and it was a concept he actively engaged in. He actually devoted half a chapter of his The Real Frank Zappa book to this subject. This is a love letter and a journey celebrating the genius artistry of Frank Zappa. On a personal note, I feel like I'm finishing something my father started years ago. And let's not forget Frank himself and the rocking will be rocking his fans alongside his bandmates like nobody's business. I mean, you know, maybe not. But it's playing the Edinburgh Playhouse, the Sage at Gateshead, which is or the Slug as it's known locally, Bridgewater Hall in Manchester, Symphony Hall in Birmingham, the Palladium in London. So it could be interesting. That actually could be interesting. And I think, yeah, you know, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe it isn't. Let's see. But back to the Dio thing. Wendy Dio, right? She's interviewing producers and directors, right? And she's saying it has to be perfect the way Ronnie would want it. I guess we'll never know. I do realise I'm going on and on and on about this, right? I was talking to the label that I won't mention about 4 years ago, but the direction they wanted to take it, it was not what I want to be. I want it to be the real Ronnie, the true real Ronnie, not drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Sorry, this is about a making. I do apologise. My misleading notes. I can't even make notes properly. What a cunt. It's about a biography of his life being made, and she didn't want it to. She wanted to be the true real Ronnie, not drugs, sex, and rock and roll, because that's not what he was about. So I want stories from bands that he played with, from people that I looked up to him, from his old friends, his old bandmates, and so that it's true. Well, I completely agree with her. It should be something along those lines. It should be something honest and truthful, and all the rest of it. That's nice to see that she's doing a little bit better job of that than she is with the horrendous. Let's make I'm stopping going on about the fucking hologram. All right, I'm stopping. Right, so what else? Parkway Drive were announced at Bloodstock, and apparently not everybody was impressed. I mean, there are no rules about, you know, about bands being booked on festivals. It was a bit of a hissy fit, and hardly kind of like, you know, out the blue or anything like that. I mean, they've, you know, they are well-known festival headliners, and they're supposed to then put on a great show and everything. I kind of get where people are coming from. Bloodstock is a slightly older school festival, so I can see where people are kind of getting bent out of shape as with Parkway Drive headlining. But then again, things move on, and also there has been. I mean, Immortal headlined the Sunday night one year. I remember because I was there performing in the comedy tent to absolutely fucking no one as Immortal went on. Literally, I was in the second tent. There was about 2,500 people in there for Angel Witch. They played, off they went. The tent emptied. I then went on about 20 minutes later, and there was literally about 30 people in the tent that holds 2,500 people. In the meantime, Immortal were coming on stage, and yeah, fucking hell. Anyway, that's how you make a story all about me. Yeah, look, it is what it is, as the kids are fond of saying. I believe it is what it is. You know, you can't have everything. With festivals, there is always going to be a ton of bands playing, and it's a case of, are more bands playing that, you know, are enough bands playing for you to want to go and see it or not? And that's it. That's it. But this whole, like, you know, oh, my festival, and oh, they're just wrong, and all it, you know, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just grow up. It's just one band. It's just one band. Also, what else has happened? I saw A Star Is Born. And I have to say, guys, yeah, it got me. Any of you out there who are remotely interested in music, just go and watch A Star Is Born. Bradley Cooper is fucking awesome. The songs are great. The music's great. Lady Gaga's great. Just an absolutely brilliant, poignant playing of the lead role. One scene later on in the movie which is incredibly dramatic, is just brilliantly shot, leaving leaving nearly everything to your own imagination. It is a superb movie. Honestly, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I really can't. It's just absolutely incredible and really worth checking out. Really worth checking out. Just the absolute fucking business. Bradley Cooper, man. Seriously, you just watch it and go like, wow. Literally, you watch it, and from about 90 seconds in, you go, right, we're going to be okay, because he clearly knows what he's fucking doing. And it's just awesome. A brilliant portrayal of a broken down, lost soul who is just deep into years and years on the road. Has some not particularly great habits, and it's just, you just kind of get the feeling that you're meeting this guy. He's just a fucking road warrior, and it's just brilliantly done. Honestly, seriously, check it out. It's worth it. And yes, there is going to be some movie podcasts coming eventually. I am working on the first one. I'm hoping to have a bit of a heavy hitter on, so hence the delay in that coming out. But it's just a case of kind of getting round to it. Okay. So anyway, speaking of getting round to it, let's get some serious fucking interviews going. So went to see my mate Jonas, however it's pronounced. I went to see him when he was in town with At the Gates. It was a absolutely fucking horrible day. Drove all the way over. It was kind of weird. It was a bit of a rush because we were going to hook up, and then and he was like, "Oh, I'm only free till 4:00," and I was like the other side of London doing something else, and I was like, "Oh shit, right, okay." So jumped in my car, got back to my flat, picked up my mics and everything else, piled over there, met up with Jonas, had a really nice chat for an hour, asked all the Patreon questions, and then off he went sound check, and that was it. It was a real kind of like, it was a real hit and run job, but great fun. He is a top man. Lots of interesting stories to be picked up on this. So this is Jonas and I sat on At the Gates tour bus just a couple of weeks ago. Jonas and I met about a year ago. Yeah, it was actually a year ago when we played in Portugal together. I was playing with Acid Rain. He wasn't playing with At the Gates. I'll let him tell the story. It comes up during the course of our conversation. This is Jonas and I having a chat just a couple of weeks ago. The worst thing about a bus is air conditioning, the sound of air conditioning buzzing. I interviewed Max Cavallera, and there's just this like in the background all the time. It's like, I've waited all this time to interview Max, and I'm interviewing the air conditioning. You know. Listeners, I'm sat on At the Gates tour bus, which is very nice. There's little Yoda keeping some gin warm over there. And I'm with my good friend Jonas, who when did you join the band?
It's almost 2 years now.
Right. Okay. That's actually quite a long time, isn't it? Yeah. But is it the first sort of big chunk of touring that you've done?
Well, it's kind of started like last spring, the big the touring part of it. But we just did like a short tour of Asia and Japan.
Oh, I think
Japan was the first after the album was out. So, and then it was festivals all summer, and then the actual like long touring started like in September last year. So.
Right.
But we got this whole year ahead of us too. So.
Yeah, I know, because you've done the States, and you've pretty much done Europe. So it's the rest of the world to go then.
Yeah, we're doing Australia, New Zealand, and then Russia, and then we're doing festivals like spread out all over the summer, and then we're doing the US again, and then
Brilliant.
we're doing Europe again.
Right. Okay. Why not?
Yeah.
But you have to, don't you? It's like, that's the whole game, really, isn't it?
I mean, the next European tour is going to be a headline tour, and it's not going to be a long one either. It's just going to do like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. But this is, a support slot though. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think they're pretty sweet these days.
They are. Yeah.
I
mean, you get off stage early, and it's just you got more time to do stuff.
Yeah. No, exactly. I actually find it
shorter set.
Yeah. I was going to mention that. Yeah. But also, I always find it a little bit depressing when you headline and it's like you might go into the dressing room, get toweled off or whatever, and you might like come back out on stage or just see what's going on, and it's like nothing ever happened. There's just rubble, It's empty, and there's like bye.
Yeah, it's like the doomsday, It's like, completely empty, and just people just scrubbing rubbish off the floor, and see the crew just taking everything down, and you still see that, but it's like it's after Behemoth played, so
yeah. So do you get to watch them, or are you usually?
I watched them more on the US tour. Just popped my head in like on a few occasions on this tour. I'm actually going to watch the whole show, I think, on either in Dublin or Glasgow, the last ones. So
right.
Just because the show is a bit different here in Europe than it was in the US. So
size-wise,
they got a little bit more like special effects on stage and stuff. So like a screen behind them and fire and shit. So
awesome health and safety.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like when you're in a band, you're always like you look at someone else's stage set and you haven't got that fan's eye view. You haven't got that like, wow. Yeah. You look at it and you go, oh fuck me.
Yeah.
Imagine hauling that around.
Yeah, they got a whole truck with them with all the stage props and everything. So.
Man, that's insane.
It's such a much more bigger machine than we are, But I mean, I don't think At the Gates would never work with it's never had that kind of vibe. The band is we're just normal guys going up on stage just playing the songs.
But we're a thrash band.
Yeah.
And I can't think when you were saying that, I was trying to think of a thrash band I've seen with a stage show, and I wouldn't say Ramps isn't really a stage show.
Yeah, I know. I mean, sure, Slayer has some fire, and Metallica probably does it too, But but their stages are a bit more elaborate, But
you've just opened up that whole question as to whether Metallica are still a thrash band.
No, well, I guess not. They're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Slayer. Yeah, I saw the last tour, and but that's the first time I've seen them with any real kind of stage show.
Yeah.
And I think they were, going balls out for the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's there's something about thrash though, isn't it? It's just jeans and t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's your stage set right there, isn't it? You just get out there and play the songs.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with thrash and death metal is that kind of stuff, and grindcore and whatever. You leave all the elaborate stuff to the black metal bands. Which I think is like it's more needed there. I think to create some kind of atmosphere around the whole thing, So.
Yeah, but I think it also stretches out into the fans as well, because they enter into it. I mean, it's corpse paint and
you see all the pandas coming to the shows. It's like I thought they were almost extinct,
You definitely don't see them fucking.
No.
Have you converted many pandas over this tour?
I mean, we probably have. There's been a few. I know that this British girl she's been going to shitloads of the shows around Europe, and she's going to I think almost all the shows here in the UK. And she we've seen her in front so many times, but now she's actually really into it when we are playing. So that's nice. And you're just like, oh yeah. At least one.
Yeah.
I was going to say. There's probably a few that they're getting
you're assuming there's a few. It might just be her. You might have done a 6-week tour to convert this one British fan. Yeah. But so you, we met we met a year ago, and it actually took one of your bandmates to tell me that you were in At the Gates. It was almost like you didn't want to say anything, given it was quite a low level event. But
it was a fun festival, though.
It was, wasn't it? It was. Yeah. I had great fun posting the videos of us slacking each other off in soundcheck.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Keep in mind, that's the first time we ever met. So.
Yeah. But to be fair,
we just came into that repertoire right away.
Yeah, well, that was it. Well, that was the weird thing because I remember there was me and Mark, our drummer, and we were stood out front of the hotel that we were all staying in, and I use the hotel in its loosest terms. This sort of World War II abandoned house, we just went outside to see what was going on, and we just kind of stood and there was you guys there. Yeah. And I can't remember who started talking. It was probably Bjorn, if I think about it. Yeah. And he was like, "So, who are you?" And we're like, "I apologise for the accent." Okay. It's like Acid Rain, and I just remember him going, "Oh, fun thrash."
That's typical him, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, who are you?" And I was like, "All right, fucking morbid bastards," or something like that. It's just like fucking depressing as well. And you guys all laughed, and it's like straight away, it's humour just like cuts all boundaries and all the rest of it, isn't it? Yeah. So I think we must have spent probably at least the first 10 or 15 minutes of all getting to know each other, just ripping the piss out of each other's bands.
You were going, "Who the fuck are you guys?" I've never
that sounds like me. Yeah. As much as that sounded like Bjorn. That does sound like me. But yeah, well, I think we kind of had we had a good chat then, and kind of got to know each other a little bit, and then we all shipped out to the venue, and then nothing brings bands together like freezing in a huge fucking dressing room for like what felt like all day. We must have been in there for 4 or 5 hours or whatever.
It was. I mean, the whole thing that kind of kept it together were people actually getting along.
Yes. Yeah. In the face of overwhelming odds, just chilling out and
in the face of Portuguese misery.
being in a Portuguese dressing room with lots of radiators in that don't work because they don't normally need them. It's like,
but that was. I mean, the only 2 times that I might mention that it's a different band from At the Gates. It's one of the other bands I played in God Macabre. So
yes,
and that's the second time we played in Portugal, and both times we played like in January. I think it was January the other time too. Otherwise, it was still like Portuguese winter, which is like it's not winter, but it's a bit colder and it's more rainy. But it was kind of misery both times. Misery but fun.
Yes, yeah. We had a blast. Yeah. We had an absolute blast. This year we did Gran Canaria instead. With 4 days in Gran Canaria with one show. It was fucking awesome. It really was.
Never played Gran Canaria though.
Oh man, it's it's a blast.
Yeah, that's where all the Swedes go to vacation.
I don't think you'd be playing the kind of place we played. Yeah. Okay, we played a club that was in the basement of a shopping mall, surrounded by sex clubs. Properly like fisting club, pissing club, and we're like,
sounds like Germany.
Well, funnily enough, all the signs are in Spanish and German, not even English. It's because German tourists, for some reason, head to Gran Canaria. I must admit, we were in. It's also, from what I hear, like pretty much a gay capital of Southern Europe.
Okay.
So much so that Northern Europeans go on holiday there as well. Yeah. So.
I did not know that.
Yeah, neither did I until the day of. No, neither did I until we landed and we were like having some beers with the promoter, and I was like, well, because we're going on stage at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And
that's always fun.
Yeah, and we're like, what are we gonna do? And he said, well, there's lots to do. And we're like, right. And then he told us, and we're like, okay, right. So that sounds like an interesting part of town. So needless to say, it was an interesting experience. But I didn't expect that from Portugal, and apparently it's not normally that cold. But we also had a
Gran Canaria.
No, Portugal.
Oh.
I didn't expect that in Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it so bloody cold in
Yeah,
Portugal when we met. That was freezing, and we had a 4-hour journey to the airport as well.
4-hour journey. 4
hours in a van. There, so 8 hours of our stay in Portugal was in a van. I did hear about Bjorn's illness.
Yeah. It seems like one of us gets sick every time we go to Portugal. Because the first time I got sick, I got kind of a flu thing going on, which kind of struck me on the flight there.
Oh, right.
Halfway, we had a layover in Frankfurt, I think it was, or something. And like, I was starting to feel like, there's something wrong here, at the airport. And then like mid-flight, that's just hit me. It's like my ears, and I lost my voice. I couldn't speak.
Oh shit!
So the first night, I just crashed at the hotel, while the others went out, got pissed drunk, and they came back, and I was like, "Shut up!" And I was sick the whole day afterwards. The actual show day, I was sick. I went out, like, had dinner with everyone because we had to go in a van to the other town where the actual show was.
Yeah.
It's like 2 hours away, whatever it was. And I was just like trying to get that 1% of energy that I actually had left in my body. But when we actually got to the festival, I'm gonna lay down in the van. So I actually slept in the van like up to half an hour before the show.
Shit.
Yeah, I was like, how is this gonna go? And then after the show, it's like gone.
Well, Dr. Showbiz, isn't it?
Yeah.
The adrenaline starts
So I was
pumping,
like,
and
all right, now I can get drunk.
Yeah, we had I think we were 4 of the 5 of us were ill when we got back from that.
Yeah.
Not as bad as Bjorn. We weren't puking on the plane.
No. It was worse for him because he got sick on the way home. It started in the morning, and he was running to the bathroom constantly.
It was brilliant. I listened to him do the description of it on his podcast, and it's just a brilliant description. It was like, just ended up puking his hands in the middle of the plane. Just, oh no.
On the way to the toilet, because he
said all the toilets were full and all that, so it's just insane.
He probably lost a couple of pounds on that trip.
Yeah, and it's all for one gig.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't. You did a couple of shows, didn't you?
No, we just did that one
show.
Yeah.
Man,
that was the only show we did last year.
Well, it's quite a thing to see you guys live.
Yeah.
You had I remember you coming back saying you had a critic in the crowd.
Yeah.
That night.
Yeah.
I was like, because I was like, fucking hell. It's not the kind of thing you get as a singer. Do you know what I mean? Because there's like, you can get people who are like, give you shit or whatever, but that's like, you kind of expect it comes with the territory. Yeah. But as a guitarist, you don't sort of, I don't know.
I don't remember the critique though. I probably just rubbed it off.
All right. Well, I'm sorry for bringing it up, and I will just move.
Oh, fucking God.
Yeah. How dare you?
Asshole.
So we've only got 3 more shows, including tonight, or 3 notes?
4 including tonight.
4 including tonight. Right, cool.
So we got Manchester, Dublin, and Glasgow left.
And 5 weeks on the road is it's enough, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Are you getting to that stage now where it's like 4 weeks would have been just right?
You always get into that.
Yeah.
But sometimes also when you do 2 weeks, it's like, 3 weeks would have been fun.
I was just getting into my stride. Yeah. And I mean, I see on Facebook, I see you with a beer in an airport.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, once every other day. But the thing is, you always look happy, even if you're not like,
even if it's
beaming,
if it's 5 in the morning, So.
Yeah. But you always look happy, because I kind of get the feeling, rightly or wrongly, that where you are now is somewhere that you've kind of spent your entire life either wanting to be or trying to get to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I preferred, even though touring can be really rough, because you're just traveling all the time, and you live on a bus, and you're surrounded by people all the time. Sometimes I just try to get away. Just when you're in a new city, just go out walking and try to find record stores or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But still, I'd rather do that than all the shit jobs I had before. Where I'm just completely miserable every day and just wanted to like kill everyone I worked with because they were like racist morons and just like people that are settling.
Yes.
Instead of like pushing forward, trying to get somewhere else. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, people who it's a lot easier to moan about where you are than change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm really, really, really pleased for you. It's I think it's awesome. I'm jealous as well. I got to be honest. I'd love to. At the moment, we're just trying to find a label for the new album, and it's just like, it's that horrible stage where it's like, because we've been in control of everything since we came back, and the one thing you're not in control of is once there's always been a plan, and finally you get to the end of the plan, which is make the album, and after that it's up to everybody else. You just send it out there and cross your fingers,
see what happens.
Exactly, which is a pain in the ass. But I would love to be on a 6-week European tour. That's for fucking sure. But no, I mean, this is awesome, and you pulled double duty a few times as well.
Last summer there was a few festivals when the Lurking Fair also played the same festival, which is like, it's me, Thomas, and Adrian in that band too. So, which was fun, but it was a bit tough too. I mean, especially there was one festival in Spain where the other two members that are not in At the Gates, their flights got fucked up, so they ended up not being able to make it to the festival. So
Shit.
So it's just like, okay, what are we doing? Are we canceling, or are we gonna try to pull this off as a 3-piece with one singer, one guitar player, one drummer?
Shit.
So we decided, no, we're not gonna cancel. We just do the show. We're here, So So I rearranged all the songs because there's 2 guitar players, and a lot of times I play melodies, and the other guy plays rhythm stuff and solos and all that. So we just stripped everything of solos and melodies, just riffs.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we use a detuning, just a normal detuning, so it's not really that down tuned.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe I used the guitar I used for At the Gates, which is a baritone guitar and it's tuning B, so it's a lot like heavier. So I used that, and we split the cabs, so we have one cab on each side of the stage, so it's like kind of sounds like it's 2 guitars anyway. And we pulled it off, people, and we explained to the audience the situation, and they completely it's totally okay, just do what you're doing, So,
But that is the great. I think a great thing about a kind of. I don't know if it applies to all genres, but metal audiences, there's just that sense of community. There is that sense of like, hey guys, you're here.
Yeah.
You could have blown us off.
Yeah. It's either that or they're like, piss off.
True.
Yeah.
It's always honesty.
Yeah.
And so, how involved were you with the writing of the album and
I wasn't involved at all with the writing. I mean, I think more or less everything had been written already when I joined the band.
Right. Okay.
Jonas wrote all the music for this album. And they asked me, do you want to contribute? Do you have any ideas, and stuff? And I just said, not on this one. Just let me be a part of the band for a while, and then next album.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. It's not like I don't have a songwriting ego that I'm in the band now, I need to write songs.
Yeah.
If someone else,
I'm sick of playing somebody else's songs.
Yeah. I mean, if someone else in the band is a really good songwriter, you shouldn't mess with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember hearing somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying if you're lucky enough to be in a band with somebody or a couple of people who have a vision, just service that vision.
Yeah.
Try and kind of put your own ego on hold and just service that vision.
Yeah, I mean, I have other bands that God Macabre is not writing new material. We only did one album, but I wrote all the songs on that album besides one. All the music, so.
And how old were you at the time?
When we recorded the album, I was 18.
Wow.
So we all were 18, 19 when we did that album. So, it was the same with At the Gates. I mean, I've been friends with them. Me and Thomas had known each other for over 30 years. So that's why they wanted me in the band too, since I was someone they've known for so long. And They knew I was like gonna fit in right away.
Basically, you, and this is a compliment. You were a low risk option.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially when you're, like you said, in a bus 5 weeks in each other's company. Yeah, you don't want to be taking risks.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Ended up after like half a year, it's like, we can't stand this guy. I mean, the whole songwriting thing, and in Bombs of Hades, I write everything, both lyrics and music, so I get my output there. And in Lurking Fear, we kind of split. I mean, me and Andreas, the bass player, wrote most of the album, and Fred, the other guitar player, wrote one song, but that's a more like thing we do together, everyone contributes songs, which is nice. I mean, it's the same when I joined Cripple Black Phoenix, it's like, and friends were asking, you're gonna write songs for them? I was like, I don't think so, because Justin he's still writing amazing songs.
But like you said, it's like, if there's a pre-existing chemistry, why fuck with it until you're integrated into that chemistry, and you know how somebody plays and how they work, and you've got a better idea of it. Have the songs changed at all? Little subtleties that start changing when you're touring songs a lot, and you start kind of thinking, hey, it would actually be cool to do this here.
Oh, well, you're never like completely satisfied with an album, There's always stuff afterwards. You go, maybe we should have done this instead, But we haven't changed anything in the songs.
No.
When we do them right, we just do them exactly. The only thing we've done is like we had to remove certain like guitar parts that are when we just layered shitloads of guitars on. It's like, we're only two players. We can only. So you had to pick out the ones that are really standing out.
You mean you didn't bring a Pro Tools rig with you?
We have like a few parts in songs that are on backing tracks with like acoustic guitars and shit. So that's like in the middle of a song and stuff.
That's allowed. That's old school. That's allowed. Yeah. No, it's the whole Pro Tools thing that I can't get on board with. It's just wrong. Well, it's good to see you again, mate. I mean, it's been a whole year, and funnily enough, I remember saying to you, well, look, when you're on tour, when you're in London, we've got to hook up. So it's good to see you. Thanks for making the time. I do appreciate it.
I've been in good company. I was felt like, fucking, he's going to interview me after he's done Fish and
Fish, Max. Well, I think this episode is going to be you and Otep. So I'm going to see her next week. And I've promised to teach her a bit of like how to do stand-up. Because I've interviewed her before, and we got on really, really well. And it was like she was asking me about comedy and stuff. I said, look, when you're in the UK, I'll come down during the day, and I'll talk to you a little bit about stand-up and all that. So I've been tweeting and stuff, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. So that could be quite cool.
Me and Björn should come to one of your stand-up shows and just heckle you.
I would love that. The trouble is, I think Björn would end up being funnier than me.
Yeah,
because
he's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy, even when he's not totally fucking wasted.
Yeah,
that was amazing that day. He was so fucking wasted.
Yeah.
And I think I remember you trying to tell him that like what he'd done earlier. He refused to believe you.
I played a prank on him because he took like a puff or two of a joint, which he rarely does.
Right.
He's not that kind of guy, but for some reason he wanted it. I was smoking and he was like, I'll have a puff or two, and he was like, I'm still stoned, and I was like joking like, it's just. The first thing I said was like after like 15 minutes, he said it that he was, I still feel stoned. Yeah, but you just had it 15 minutes ago. And then like half an hour later, he was like, I still feel stoned. Yeah, it's because you just had it 15 minutes ago. And I kept saying that to him for hours. And first he was like, no, you're joking. And I was like, no, for real. I just had it 15 minutes ago. And it kept on for hours.
I remember it now.
At the end of it, he actually believed me. And he just started almost hallucinating that he was like, why am I still stoned? Like almost panicking. I was like, I knew he wasn't stoned anymore, but it was just got into his head that he was still stoned.
It is. None of us have grown up, but it's like the opportunities to do something like that.
You see a window.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's the right kind of person.
Yeah.
You think, boom, I'm doing that.
Yeah. I mean, we always take a piss out of each other, so it's and that's the thing with that band. We've decided to. The band is still active. We're not gonna make any new music. I don't think so. I mean, it would be fun to do it, but I don't really think we'll do it. And we do live shows when we're offered shows that we like. Okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
And we don't mainly do it just for the five of us to hang out.
Right.
Because it's like because we live in different parts of the country, and well, three of the guys live more or less in the same part, but there's still, very rare occasions we get together unless we rehearse before a show or do an actual show,
Yeah.
So for us, the whole thing is just a friendship thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
cool.
That's how Lurking Fear started too. I mean, that's also, that band is completely built on friendship. And that band is even worse when it comes to taking a piss at each other,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I've got to ask, because we kind of touched on this, but you saw Acid Rain play with Nuclear Assault and Dark Angel all those years ago.
Yeah, 89. Yeah,
89. Yeah, Stockholm. That is insane.
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying that there was a few of At the Gates there, and it was all before bands kind of formed.
Yeah.
When you were all young.
Yeah. I mean, I was 15 at the time, so.
Shit. Right. Okay.
Or
so
16 probably. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm only a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
But at that age, it's quite a lot, isn't it?
I mean, for me, it's a funny thing, especially at that show. It's like those three bands: Acid Rain, Dark Angel, and Nuclear Assault. And I was 16, and when you're 16, you're a fanboy,
Yes.
And now, fast forward 30 years, I'm friends with you.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with Dan Lilker, and I'm friends with Gene Hoglan. So it's like, what happened?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if someone told me that in '89, I was like, oh well, somewhere along the line you're gonna become friends with them. It's
but the weird thing is that's how I felt on that tour.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first toured with Nuclear Assault, 'cause that was the second time we toured with them.
Yeah.
First time we toured with them, I remember telling Anthony Bramante that I got his autograph. I think about 9 months previously, or like a year previously, and I told him the gig, and he was like, "Oh yeah," he said, "Yeah, I remember." We were sat out the back of the bus, and it's like we kept saying cheers to everybody, because it was like we'd never heard this expression where like British people just go, "Oh, cheers," And he said we'd never heard it.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, "Yeah," I said, "I've got cheers, Anthony Bramante written." It was like he thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then there we are, like I mean, sharing a tour bus with Dark Angel.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought Leave Scars, and then to be like, sat on the bus with Gene, just like talking stuff.
Yeah.
He's
the nicest guy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
He's an absolute legend when it comes to drumming and all that. I mean,
it's
funny thing. My son met him before me, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because my son's a drummer, and I think he was 14 or 15, I think. And his mom's new husband is his cousin plays in Meldrum.
Oh right, okay.
I think she's the bass player, I think. So they got in on the guest list when they played my old hometown where my son lives, and he brought Christopher with him. So I was getting a text from him and a picture of him with Gene Hoglan. I was like, "You fucking little shit kid," meeting Gene Hoglan before me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, Gene is just such a cool guy. Yeah. I mean, whenever they play here, I've got his European number, and we always hook up. And he's the last time I saw him, he's like we just pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
And then the last time I saw him, we sat down in Testament's dressing room. He looked at me, I looked at him, and I just went, "So, Trump." And he just looks at me and he goes, "So, Brexit."
Yeah.
It's like, boom, we're off. Because you can talk to Gene about anything, as you do when you sat on a bus for like 6 weeks together.
Yeah.
But of course, then we went through all those. We just went through a fucking nightmare on that tour. Their bass player got chucked in jail, and it was just, it was insane. Yeah. But yeah, that tour was just so much fun to do. Funnily enough, I've sent some tracks from a new Acid Rain album to Century Media, and the head of A&R's an Acid Rain fan. And he went to that tour.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, fucking loving this. It's like, but it's not for us. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not a problem. Yeah. But it's weird because I think because there were so few kind of tours like that back in the day that everybody went to them.
Yeah.
So if you were into thrash, even if you didn't particularly like the bands who were on, you kind of went anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same now when we did the US tour now in San Francisco, and Craig from Forbidden came to the show.
Oh, and, Craig, top man.
I've never met Craig before.
Lovely guy.
Yeah, amazing guy, you know, and we also started talking about that first time they played in Sweden, which was also 89. And it's like, another one I meet who plays in a fucking amazing band from Sweden who was at that show, you know, it's like...
Yeah.
I told Igor from Sepultura about the first time they played in Sweden. He's like, I remember that show. That was one of the best tours we've ever done, you know. It was their first European tour, you know. And so many bands, you know. In 1990, the first time Morbid Angel played like a big show in Sweden, like everyone, that's the moment when death metal like really exploded in Sweden, you know. I mean, there's a lot of bands before that, but that was when everyone just like went full on death metal, just fuck thrash metal, just
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that as well.
You're like left in the dust. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. 1990. You know, it's like fuck me. That year started really well and ended really badly.
Yeah,
it was just like in the course of that year, it was just things just went.
But that's what happens. I mean, it was other like stuff that came along a couple of years later that just made death metal obsolete for a while too, you know?
Yeah. Well,
black metal did that, really.
But I mean, I've always said it's like if you're part of a scene and the scene goes under, you go down with the ship.
Yeah.
You know, and that's...
Or you try to adapt to something. I mean, but there's very few that really are able to adapt and do it really good.
Well, exactly, because with thrash, it's like, well, where do you go? Because you if you're going to try and hitch your trailer to like death metal or grindcore or whatever's coming through, that's not going to work. Funk metal, you know,
Don't
Sacred Reich, 31 flavors. I'm looking at you guys.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No.
So you kind of just got to go, right, okay, you know, we're going down.
I think actually Testament kind of went through it in a really good way, because they didn't, like, they were still trash, but they became a bit rougher.
Well, I've got a funny story for you on that. You know the album, I can't remember what it's called. It really annoys me, I can never remember it. The album that Gene plays on. The first album he played on. That wasn't a Testament record. Gene, that was Eric, Chuck, Gene, some new guys, and it was a different band, and the album was written as a different band, and then some European like SPV or someone like that came up and went like, you know, we've got this amount of money for a new Testament album, and they went right, okay, so just kind of adapted the song slightly. He said, but that's why it sounds slightly different. It's kind of like a different band but retooled as a Testament album, because there was just way more interest in that than them trying to do something new. Yeah,
because I know Eric got really into the black metal stuff, and he incorporated it a lot, I think, but very subtle though. And also I think Chuck's vocals became a bit more growlier.
Big time. Yeah, big time. Oh, you listen to like, you know, first couple of albums, especially Practice What You Preach. I mean, there's a fucking ballad on there, for God's sake. But that was the law back then, right?
Exactly,
you know, third album, ballad. Guilty.
And guilty.
Oh, you so hardcore.
I always only play death metal or psychedelic rock, you know. And I totally separate them. Well, not with Bombs of Hades. We try to do it more. We're kind of a mix between like Discharge and King Crimson these days.
That's insane.
Yeah, but King Crimson they were fucking harder than most metal bands back in '69.
Well,
nobody's come near like schizoid metal and that stuff. Like
why did Tool take King Crimson out on tour?
Exactly.
Then? It's like because they're a complete and total inspiration. They're in awe of them. So have you? Other than At the Gates, so there's no plans to record any God Macabre stuff.
No.
Anything else?
Well, Bombs of Hades are going to do a new album. I wanted it to do it last year already, but it was no time. I have more or less the whole bunk of it written already.
Right.
And we're gonna do a 12-inch now for during the spring, and then record the album before the summer, and then have it released probably October or something like that. And that band doesn't really tour much because people got families and stuff, and we don't really take that band like a serious band, like, whoa, we're gonna tour the hell out of us and try to make it big, that's the same thing. It's 4 guys that have known each other for 35 years that just want to play music together. And it's very relaxed in that way.
But it's also cool that it gives you opportunities to do stuff and go places and see things together that you might not have seen.
Yeah, but and Lurking Fear is kind of the same thing. But we're on a bigger label and all that. It's a kind of a different ballpark when it comes to Lurking Fear. We got signed to Century Media even before we had made a demo, more or less.
Wow.
Yeah. They were just like, okay, I see these 5 guys in a band. I know what they're capable of.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Having just been turned down by Century Media this week, it's a great story. Yeah. We got signed by a fucking demo. Yeah. Brilliant. But that's awesome. You know, and so many creative outlets as well.
It's the same for me playing with Crippled Black Phoenix. It's almost like a haven for me because I get to play more Pink Floydish kind of stuff. There's no metal in there at all. There's a lot of heaviness. The main guy, Justin Greaves, he comes from Iron Monkey, and he played with the Verucas for a while, and he's played jumped in and did tours with Bork Nagar and stuff like that.
That's some serious credentials.
And his vision when it comes to music, he's also I never go. I know all the time we make an album, it's gonna be great because I know his fucking idea. The demos might go, what was it? I don't know, I don't hear a song in here, but I know always that as soon as we hit the studio, it's gonna be these big grand songs, that takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
And especially the last album now was more actually a real group effort when the whole band was in the studio. We were juggling arrangement ideas and between each other, and it was a lot more. People got involved more. I think that's why the record. But I think it's the best. I was a huge fan of the band before I joined, but I think even though I play on the album, it's the best album the band has made because it's just the feeling of it.
Despite you being on the album. Yeah,
exactly.
Cool.
Personally, I think that's the best guitar playing I've ever done, because I get to do some fake Gilmore stuff, I'm nowhere near him, but I try my best, so it's...
Yeah, but it's not often you get to do something like that in the structure of a band.
And playing in a band like that I feel like I grow as a musician playing some completely different stuff than metal.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really a metalhead these days. I love it still, all the old stuff I grew up with, but it's rarely that a metal album comes out that really knocks me off my feet. But at the same time, I still love playing it. I still love writing it.
Yeah, funnily enough, I normally do a top 5 albums of the year.
Yeah.
And this year I had to make it a top 3.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't
with metal
find
stuff.
Yeah. I couldn't find 5 albums that I've gone, I've really got to listen to that again.
I do a top 20 every year, but that's very all-around kind of music, so...
Well, no, to be honest, not just metal. My top 3, my number 1 best album last year was Eminem.
Yeah.
So it's just whatever I'm listening to.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of poor year last year.
My favorite album was Anna von Halswolf, her latest album.
Who?
She's a Swedish. She's amazing. I call her. She's like the Swedish Kate Bush.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's so dark and weird, and I think Randall Dunn produced the album. Who works with Sun and bands like that.
Okay.
So she's completely amazing, especially live. It's just this power. She's this little blonde girl from Sweden who has all these artistic visions.
Wow.
Yeah, you look at her and go like, okay, and then you see her on stage. It's like, oh fuck, you know.
I'm gonna have to check some out.
She's. I mean, you could probably lump her in with like Chelsea Wolfe and that kind of. Dare I say her name, Mirker, which I think. I mean, she's so boring. It's just the clock stops. You know, it's like, but I like Chelsea Wolfe though. But Anna has so much more like art in her. It doesn't seem fake, you know. It's like, it's not like I'm doing this. I'm adding this just to make it more like so people will like it. She's just does her thing and doesn't really care, I think, if people like it or not.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, and that's inspired me to send you. We've done a cover of a Suzanne Vega song, and she's on it.
She's on it.
She's on it. Yeah. I mean, wow, because I've been a fan of hers since I was like 16. We sent her the demo and she was like, I love this. And then we recorded it for the album, and I just sent her a message and she said, look, would you be up for just doing like one line at the beginning? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. So we did it, sent her it, and she's like, guys, I love it. I'm just like,
that's
what?
Cool, yeah.
Oh man, I've got the very original conversation I had with her, which is on Facebook Messenger. I screenshot it and framed it. It's in my fucking house. You know, I'm just like, what? And it's just like, you know, just opening up my email and seeing that name it's like in my inbox. It's just like insane. You know, and just getting to do things like that. I'm glad that, you know, if no one's interested in releasing this album and we'd never play another gig, it's been awesome to come back and you know, and experience what I've experienced, and it's just been brilliant. And I can only imagine that. So your experience with At the Gates, it's like that times a million. I mean, you're getting to do stuff that you must have always dreamed of.
I mean, I've been playing in bands for over 30 years, but I've never done like. I mean, when I joined Crippled Black Phoenix, I started doing like long tours right away, but not like touring this much when you actually don't need to work, because you tour so much you can't.
You can't. Yeah.
So it's for me. I love doing it. You know, love touring.
How's the US? Have you done that before?
No, that was my first like proper tour of the US. I mean, I played shows in the US, but not like done a tour.
How was it?
I love touring the US. I mean, there's so much. I prefer the US over Europe. I mean, I've done Europe so many times now, so it's Europe gets a bit like, oh yeah, I played this venue 4 times, like, with different bands.
Oh, it's this country.
Yeah. I mean, I still like touring Europe, but I prefer doing it not in this time of year, you know. It's just.
What do you mean? It's lovely out there. It's Storm Cyril or whatever it is.
Acid rain.
It does. It's fucking horrible out there.
But in the US it was kind of, you got all the seasons in one tour. You know, we got up to Canada, it was full on winter, and you get more like rainy Seattle, but it was still warm, you know. So and going down to LA, which was really nice, and I mean, it's the same. Touring a place like that, it's like
it's a lot of traveling as well.
It's a lot of traveling, but you also, I mean, for me, it's like that whole thing was getting up every day, just going out, seeing like. But I've never been, because before this tour, I've only been to like a couple of cities, like mostly LA and San Francisco, New York. You know, the big cities. Yeah,
same here.
And now you can go to like these small, like almost hillbilly towns, almost. Also, you know, I never played Minneapolis. You know, for me, Minneapolis is like, because I fucking love Husker Du and Replacements and Prince and all that. It's just that town has just got so much music from it. That's like legendary. So for me, it was like, oh, this is the record store that it's still there, and everyone bought records there. And, went around in Washington and like got stories about Discord records, and to me, that in Seattle also went to the bar that like more or less the whole grunge scene hung out. Like all the bands, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Mudhoney, and everyone just hung out that exact bar.
That's awesome. So you see that is, you sound like me. That's what I love about touring. Is getting out and, well, you know, way back when we played Stockholm, it's like, get out, see the city. I used to get out with the merch guy, because he was exactly the same. It's like, might never come back here, might never see this place, you know, might never see this town. And also it is a way of getting away from everybody.
Now also with like all the social media and stuff, Facebook, you get to know people. So I had like a lot of the cities, I had people showing me around. And going, like, you get to know people like on shows and whatever, you know, other bands. When we played Portland, Portland.
Oh man, I want to see Portland.
That was one of the cities that was like, oh fuck, I really want to go to Portland. And so at first I hung out with this guy called Arjun Miranda, who he actually plays bass in Black Mountain also, which is also one of my favorite bands. But he released his first solo record 2 years ago now, and it was top 3 for me, best records that year. It was just totally knocked me out. And I found him on Instagram, just wrote him a message, just like, fuck, I just want to say I completely love the album. And it turns out he's this huge At the Gates fan. So it's like, and he was like completely like shocked, like that I like, oh fuck, he loves the album, you know. So we started talking, and we likes the same kind of music and all that. So it was like, oh, let's hook up when I'm in Portland. So I went up, met him for the first time. He's like the nicest guy. And before that, during the day, I went home to Matt Pike's house to get tattooed by his girlfriend.
Oh man!
In the garage where Sleep and High on Fire rehearse. So I got a septic death tattoo when I was there.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Doing those kinds of stuff on tours brings you back more memories. You know? But
I also think it's vital to do stuff like that, because, like, you know, people who say oh, touring it's fucking boring. Yeah, there are aspects of it boring, and that's the travel.
Yeah.
But you know, if all you do is sit on the bus and then go to the venue and then get back on the bus, it's going to be fucking boring.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you owe it to yourself to get out and see where you are and look around, because like you say, it's all getting to do all stuff like that. It's just,
I mean, when we played Toronto, a childhood friend of mine lives there, and I hadn't seen him, like, last time he was back in Sweden was like 10-12 years ago or something.
Brilliant.
And none of us have been, actually just one of our friends have been there to visit him, and that was also ages ago. So he was like really psyched that someone he actually knew from back home, he was just coming like, oh
yeah.
So it was really fun catching up with him. And before the tour I went to LA just for a vacation before the tour starts, because one of my best friends lived there, and I was always crash at his house, just hung out and just do stuff with him, just relax before the tour, you know.
Yeah.
Because we'd done a grueling South America for almost 3 weeks before that.
That's a long time in South America.
Yeah, I mean, they actually...
That's a long time watching you back.
There was only like, I think it was 11 shows, but it turned out to be almost 3 weeks because of all the traveling. We needed days off in between just to like...
But also, it's mainly flying South America as well, isn't it? Because you can't do the roads.
We did one, like, in between, I don't remember which countries it was, where we were able to do, like, a van thing. We did that one, but otherwise it was just flying everywhere.
Yeah.
So, some of the flights were, like going from Sweden to LA or, like, New York. Like, 8-9 hours or whatever, you know.
Fuck.
That fucking continent is huge, you know.
But you must have played... So which countries do you play? Do you play? I mean, that sounds like you played pretty much every country.
We played like Mexico, Guatemala.
You played Guatemala.
Yeah.
Gee, I mean, I've got coffee from Guatemala. That's about as close as.
And like Colombia and Chile and Argentina, Brazil. You know.
That's some collection of places to have postcards from. That's for sure.
And the fans there are just. They're really intense and amazing, you know. It's like those shows are like,
yeah. We've had a few offers to go out there, but it's our agent always says, like, you know, we get these approaches, and so what's it like? And we said, well, you know, they say that they've worked with so and so and so and so and so and so. I was like, right, okay. So I've spoken to so and so and so and so. So now what do they say? And they said, well, you know, it was an experience, and it's like, they're obviously getting better. Do you want to be the next experiment? You know, or do you just want to?
They are getting better. I mean, some fun memories from that tour when we played Bogota. Like, everyone who's in the club at the show was outside waiting for us after the show.
Wow.
It was like a couple of steps between the door and the bus, and it took us like 45 minutes to get to the bus because everyone wanted to take pictures. And
so it's proper kind of like, you know, the Beatles kind of shit.
Yeah,
out there.
I mean they're like somewhere. There were people waiting at the airport and stuff. It's not like Japan where people were. That was even. We got to the hotel. It was like 15 people waiting for us at the hotel or at the airport when we took the bullet train between Tokyo and Nagasaki. I think Nagoya. Yeah, and we just came there, and there were people waiting for us at the train station. What is this?
Who's got the itinerary?
Yeah.
Who leaked our plans?
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. That's crazy. But it's but again, getting to experience all those different cultures as well, and
that to me is the beauty of touring.
Yeah.
That's like I was in 37 countries last year.
Wow.
So it's like
you've done a few already this year, haven't you?
So it's for me that's the thing, you can actually sit down later on when you're older and stuff. I've been to like all these places. I mean, not all places you've actually got to see something.
Yeah.
For different reasons, there's no time, or the weather like is complete shit, so you can't really go outside or whatever, you know. But most of the times you actually get to experience stuff.
Yeah. Well, you do if you make the effort.
Yeah.
You know, it is possible to miss out on a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, I've talked with people who are just like, for want of a better phrase, fucking ignorant.
Yeah.
You know, and aren't interested.
Yeah.
And don't want to know.
Yeah.
And are bored out of their minds.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what's the old phrase, isn't it? Travel broadens the mind. And it has to.
For some, travel bores the mind, you know. So.
Well, actual travel, yeah. Sitting on a plane for 10 hours doesn't broaden the mind.
Or, I mean, I don't mind the actual flying. It's the airports that get to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like,
They're like huge motorway service stations, aren't they? They exist for one reason.
People are idiots, you know. It's like it's like half of the population that fly has never been in an airport before. They don't prepare. Since I fly so much, it's like preparing is like key, you know. When going through security, when checking in, when boarding, especially boarding, you know, it's like, oh my god, just like you're gonna take off 3 jackets when you're actually standing in the aisle. It's like,
and everyone's trying to get on the plane.
Yeah,
but
were you born yesterday? You know, it's like,
I know exactly what you mean. What you mean, and it's like, we'll pay extra for speedy boarding now, because it's just like, do you know what? It's a tiny amount of money compared to having to wait with everybody else. Just get on, put your stuff away, sit down, and just be out of it. Oh yeah, there's just some, and then there's people who haven't travelled before, people who aren't very good flyers, you know, and it's like, just fill themselves up with Valium and then want to talk to you. I don't know.
I mean, when I flew to LA, I ended up sitting next to this woman, and after a while we started talking, and she was like, oh, what are you doing in the US? And I said, oh, first vacation, then I'm going on tour. And she was like, oh, what band? And all that. And then it turns out she worked for Epitaph Records for like 8 years.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we had like shitloads of mutual friends, you know. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, she knew all the Swedish, like the Swedish part of Epitaph, the Burning Heart Records, and she knew all those guys. And so it was like, oh, well, that's weird.
Yeah. But again, that's what happens when you're open and when you talk to people, as opposed to just sit there, stick your headphones in, and ignore everybody. Which is most people's preferred version of flying. Yeah,
I mean, it's the same when we flew to Mexico. I ended up next to 2 guys from Germany who they were going like a whole company, maybe like 10 people, going to give learn other people stuff, in Mexico.
Yeah.
And we ended up like drinking and getting drunk, and it ended up with them cutting us off. We had so much fun, It's like
you were having too much fun.
Yeah. And I was like, it's always nice to meet people, So,
yeah. And then get cut off by the airport, by the airline staff.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you guys had enough for now.
Well, to be fair, I'm sure they've seen it turn,
we were all
turn
like,
ugly.
We were like, it's okay, completely okay.
Yeah.
Then we actually, all of us, like, took a nap then, like, for an hour or two, and then it's like, oh, dinner is up. Well, I'll have a glass of wine. Then it was okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, you've got these few dates. How long are you off before you're back out again?
It's mainly like short, like stuff. We're playing a festival in Sweden first weekend of March, and then after that we got the Ukraine and Russia, 2 shows in Russia and 1 in Ukraine, and I mean that's a weekend only. So that doesn't even count. I don't count it as touring.
Like that's like just going to work for a week, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we do Roadburn. Because Thomas is curating Roadburn in Tilburg this year. So we're doing a special show with like special guests.
Is that the Nordlight?
No, it's called Roadburn.
No, yeah, but the venue in Tilburg.
No, it's called O13. It's called.
Right. Okay.
And that's going to be very special. And that's going to actually take a lot of work for us too, because we're rearranging stuff. We're doing stuff that the band has never done before, so
right,
it's very interesting.
How did all that come about?
Mainly because Thomas is curating it, and I mean Thomas has been going to Roadburn for years, and he's very good friends with Walter, the guy who runs the festival. I'm good friends with him too, and Thomas has been in the cards for doing it for a couple of years, but he ended up doing it this year. And the thing with curating that festival, you get this like amount of money where you get to choose bands that you want to play there. That you think fit the bill for Roadburn.
Yeah.
And then always, because it's always musicians, and the guy or a woman, whatever, who curates it, that the band that person plays in always do like a special show.
Yeah.
So we had to put our heads together, like, okay, what are we doing? We need to do stuff that the band has never done before, but we need to be able to pull it off, and we all need to feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
So that's special. And Crippled by Phoenix is playing also, so...
Oh, right. Double duty again for you then.
But I mean, because the band is... Crippled by Phoenix is doing a tour coinciding with that show. So, but I can't make the tour because we got the Russian show right at the gates. So I'm actually just going to do some guest stuff on it and just play a few songs or whatever.
So just have some fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have that, and after that we got Australia and New Zealand I mean, it's going to end up with 2 weeks because you always need the days off flying there and all that.
But get some sun.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I think that's like 6 or 7 gigs, I think it's 6. Yeah. Then after that we don't have any tours. We just have festivals all of the summer.
Right.
Then the US, like from end of September to end of October. And then we do Europe, Scandinavia after that.
Cool. You coming back to the UK?
Most likely, yes.
Excellent.
We don't have the final routing for it yet. So.
No. I will. Well, we'll do part 2.
Yeah.
We'll do part 2 when you come back.
Yeah.
I've just seen the time, and I've got a few questions to ask you from subscribers to Patreon. So, look at that, 59 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Jonas, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah. And I'm now going to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
So how's that for an odd end to an interview? I'm now going to ask you some questions. Yes, you'd think that would be the beginning, but no, it is the end. It's the end for you. For Patreon listeners, sorry, not going to plug that again. So as you heard, very enjoyable chat there. Jonas is just a top guy, really nice dude. He told me just after that interview that they were going to be coming back to London. And it's for Boomtown. So if anybody is aware of this festival, it is fucking mental. Check it out. Boomtown Festival, and just go and have a look at what it is and the bands playing. It is fucking mental. There's every kind of genre that you can imagine is represented. From extreme metal to trance to you just honestly, I can't do it justice by describing it to you on the podcast. Go and have a look for it. Boomtown. It's just nuts. I mean, I live in London. I didn't know it existed. I kind of think I did, but a few years ago, it's clearly just mad. Absolutely fucking mad. So anyway, moving on. What is not mad? What's not mad is Phil Demmel fucking off out of Machine Head. Yeah, I mean, after all the initial, sorries and respects and all the rest of it, it's now starting to come out, isn't it? Really, basically, Phil has said, look, it was essentially a solo band. He was told he couldn't point at the audience. He was told he couldn't mouth the words, mouth the lyrics. Yeah, it really did sound like it had become pretty unbearable. And as he was saying as well, because they don't play festivals and they're doing nights with Machine Head, so they don't tour with other bands. He said literally you just don't ever see anybody. So he spent 3 years in this like bubble of just the same people, the band and crew, and I think getting really hacked off with not being able to speak to the press. And I think finally, all said and done, he'd had enough. I wouldn't say he's been scathing, because I think he's said only stuff that any of us have assumed, that Rob Flynn is a knob. I mean, surely when you're in a band, right, and Rob Flynn's the only original member, surely when you're in a band and people keep leaving, and when they leave, they say, and you ask why they're leaving, and you say, it's you. At some point, don't you think maybe not everybody else is wrong? Maybe I am doing something wrong here. Maybe I am the cunt. Maybe, just maybe, I've not got my head screwed on here. What am I doing? Why am I driving these people away all the time? Why does this keep happening? Things like that. Questions that one would ask oneself when the same thing keeps happening over and over again, repeated, like people fucking off out the band. But then again, I mean, Rob Flynn hasn't even got an alcohol or heroin induced haze like Dave Mustaine has got. It's just basically, no, this is Rob Flynn sober. So I don't know what you do with that. I don't know if it's like, right, well, let's make him a little bit more I was going to say hospitable isn't the word. You're not hospitable in a band, but look, anyway, him and the bass player, they're going to carry on, and apparently he's posted on Instagram saying he's working on some new heavy tunes. I mean, some really all the really interesting stuff about Phil Demmel in a couple of interviews there, and it is pretty much, like I said, everything you would expect to hear about Rob Flynn. The thing about Rob Flynn is I can just imagine him dealing with somebody leaving the band, like, in the full spirit of a Machine Head song. What are you saying to me? It's just that kind of whole. He's always out of breath when he wanna fucking say something. It's just sorry, I've still got a sore throat from last week because I was performing with a cold. But it's that whole sort of. I think came about through new metal, didn't it? New metal and all this, like, this truncated breathing to make you. I think Jonathan Davis started it with this sort of cats in a sack kind of thing. And then and Rob Flynn's taken it to the man hyperventilating into a plastic bag kind of territory. I want to fucking it will 10 ton. It's all, and I think there's just varying degrees of metal grunting and sighing and what am I doing? What am I fucking doing? Right. Oh, that was nearly another one, wasn't it? Right, before I completely Rob Flynn myself to death, I think it's time to get friend of the show, the First Lady of Talking Bollocks, Otep Shamaya, on the show. It's been nearly 3 years since we did our last interview. I tweeted her. She totally remembered it. She totally remembered me, guys. It was really cool. And as you'll hear, Starts off about the music business. Obviously, we get on to Trump and all sorts of bits and pieces. Really, really, really interesting chat here. She's a fascinating woman with a lot to say. I've got a lot of time for her, and I hope you have too. Here is myself and Otep having a chat just a couple of weeks ago. Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Real well. Thank you.
Cool. I know what you're doing.
Yep.
I know you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we are. I made
it.
Yeah, 3 years. Just short of 3 years. Man, I know.
It's been crazy to get over here. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, which is strange.
Yeah.
Because it's to find a legitimate booking agency that will make sure that we can get back home.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Because like the first time that it was I can't remember now because there's so many. But the first or second time we canceled within the recent years was one. The guy said he couldn't put any money in escrow, which is normally what they do. They could put half in escrow and then they give the other half to our booking agent in the States.
Yeah.
And he said he couldn't do that, but he was going to pay us out of a suitcase and $100 bills, U.S. bills, not euros. Not, just...
What kind of person think that's like an appealing business deal?
I know. And then, like, every night in the back of a van, he was going to give me money. And I was like, well, if you have the money, and so it just wasn't my managers nor my label would allow me to do it because they thought that it would be too risky for us.
No shit.
So, right.
Yeah. 12,000 miles for
plus,
that.
And then the other one I think we had trouble with was they didn't get any of our visas approved. So,
which is again basic.
Yeah, right. And we weren't going to be able to get into different countries. We could only get into one at a time. And they said, "Oh, we're just going to tell them that we're tourists." And I didn't want to be involved in any.
Yeah, get deported halfway through the tour for working without a visa
or worse.
Depending
on the country. So we finally were able to, through our United States booking agent, we were actually been able to get things sorted out and. I think right now they're actually scheduling us for something in the fall to come back.
Oh wow, awesome!
So
that's really cool.
The response has been so remarkable that they want us to come back.
Queue all the way around. I felt like such an idiot as well. I was pushing past everybody in the queue. It was like, excuse me, and you can just like everyone's like, who's that guy? Who's he think he is?
I hope somebody gets some video of it. That'd be great. Yeah.
And it's like it's a freezing fucking Wednesday night, the people are queued around the block. It's really really cool.
And it's been like this even in some of the smallest towns we've played in some of the most obscure cities that I've never even heard of. And I'm kind of a geographic and historical buff, especially because I love Europe. My name's Otep. My mom was an Egyptian, an archaeological scholar. So she taught me a lot. So even in some of the smaller places, we've had just such a remarkable turnout on Sunday nights when the snow's as tall as I am, and it's just, it's very humbling, and I'm very grateful, and it's truly. I guess it's a blessing in many ways to see people appreciate the words I write and the things that I stand for, and
it's why you do it.
Yeah,
it's why we do this, and I just to see you there with some people are on the verge of tears or crying, and they're people coming from Sweden, that alone is just that's rewarding, isn't it? It's touching.
It means more than anything. I'll never win a BAFTA or a Grammy or anything like that, but I'll have that. I'll
absolutely.
Have that. And that's something that is more is more important to me than any award or anything. So I come from very meager means. We were raised very poor, and so no one raises you to be prepared for this kind of thing, And I was very young when I started the band, and we got signed after 4 shows, and so suddenly I'm just in the spotlight, and I've had to kind of grow up in the spotlight and learn about the music industry and watch it through all its phases, from being, the Tower of Babel to being just, in the rubble that it's in now. So, and to be able to stay relevant and to understand how to, to bifurcate your own mind from being artist to something, to the business side of it, so that you can maintain some level of just success and I say success, maybe that's not the right word, but just be able to survive.
Well, I was going to say, there's a song on the Last Therapy album called "Success?" ? Success is survival.
That's right.
And you know what he's talking about. That's right. And it is. Success is another album and another tour, and to be able to keep. Some
people, success is just another day. It's another day on this planet.
Every day above ground.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we get that a lot with our music too. A lot of people say like the couple that flew in from Sweden, they're originally from Iraq, and so
wow.
Yeah, and so she said because of some family connections, she's not allowed in the U.S. So this is the only way that she can see us.
Wow.
And that. So she's like, I'm coming. And so they booked a flight, booked hotels, and they came. So
that's awesome.
It's really amazing. And I was telling them, we've been out for I think 3 weeks, and to be out of America, and I know every country's got their thing.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, every country's got their thing, but to not have to see that orange, face and hear that mouth and the nonsense that comes out of it.
Well, do you know what? I remember when we did the last interview, it was, you'd seen it and I hadn't seen it yet because of the delay between when it's aired, was the John Oliver show where he first took the piss out of Trump's small hands. That's exactly when we spoke last, because I remember you telling me about it and it's like, well, I get to see the show like 2 days late.
Right.
And so I was just like, oh my God, of course now it's just blown up. It's like something that everybody knows.
Everybody
people
knows,
talk
and
about.
And he literally still does this. He still talks about it. He's 72 years old.
He's a baby.
He's a giant baby man.
Yeah.
Just recently when he was talking about, he shut down our government and put 800,000 federal workers out of a tantrum.
Yeah.
And then he said on live TV, which I don't think he understands how live TV works.
No.
His father got dementia in his 70s, so we're thinking that that's a thing. And so we have there's a clause in our Constitution where if the president is too ill or mentally unfit to do his duties, they can remove him. But the problem is that the Senate is still owned by the Conservative Party, which is the party of Trump.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do anything. But then Senate elections are coming up pretty soon, so we might be able to get rid of him.
Do you know what? The thing is,
But he said the other day, it's all about border security and all this anti-immigration stuff, which is nonsense, because the thing that what I don't like about white culture in America, and I'm a white person, right?
She is, folks, for those
Thank
listening.
You. Everybody is. But my family came from Ireland many, many years ago.
Yeah.
So in America, they separate races by their as an American, so African American, Indian American, Asian American, except for white people. They don't say white American, or if they do, they lump everybody together as a white American. And then you say, well, what is a white American? What is that? What is that? Cargo shorts and Crocs and an obsession with cross burnings and
college football and stuff like that.
Dancing with the Stars, or what is a white American? Someone with a melanin deficiency. What is it?
It's definitely somebody who's not indigenous. That's for sure.
That's right, and those are the only people. The Native Americans, the Native nations, the indigenous people. They're the only people that don't need an indicator of who they are or where they come from. Yeah. Everybody else does. So we are essentially European Americans if we're going to continue down this line. And that's I've been trying to I bring this up a lot in a lot of different interviews, because I think that it's important, and in a lot of ways because I think that's when we start to see the rise of white supremacy that Trump likes to brag about. Then he says he's not for it, but he is, but yet all of the people that he hires for his cabinet are all white supremacists. But what is white supremacy? What is that? It doesn't make any sense. It's
it's the status quo, isn't it? Really?
Sure, I guess. But at the same time, that means their history starts like right around the Civil War. They don't have any sense of themselves before that.
Yeah.
So if you give them that, if you say, okay, so you're a European American, where did your people come from? Like Trump's people came from, I think, Germany. His grandfather actually got kicked out of Germany because he refused to join the army.
Didn't he have? He's got a relative in Scotland as well, hasn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, because he's like,
and two of his wives are immigrants too, by the way. His
oh
first
yeah, well,
wife,
yeah,
and he cheated on her.
Melania.
He cheated on his first wife with his second wife, which was an American. Then he cheated on her with his third wife, Melania. So, and then I think he cheats on his current wife with his daughter, Ivanka. So,
I genuinely think as well. He's got more and more Christian since he started running for office, and I genuinely think he's basically just gone for the to solidify the
absolutely.
vote, and he's just going conservative Christian right,
sure,
and trying to sew up
the hypocrisy. There is ridiculous, because when President Obama was in office, the evangelicals went crazy because he wore a tan suit. That's literally what they were upset about. Not imagine if President Obama, like Trump, had 5 children by 3 different wives.
Yeah.
Okay, now put that image in your mind. And a biracial man.
Do I have to?
Right? An African American man, but he's biracial. But by all accounts, they call him African American. An African American man with 5 children by 3 different wives. He wouldn't get elected dog catcher. And same thing with Hillary Clinton. 5 children by 3 different men. Same thing. What would they call her?
I think we know.
Exactly, we do.
Yeah.
And so they give him a pass on that, and so he's really embedded himself, especially with his vice president Mike Pence, who's
oh God,
that guy who calls his wife mother.
It's it's Trump's only saving grace is that he's keeping Pence out of the chair.
Well, I think Pence is working behind the scenes, because I think he knows that Trump's not long for office. So,
yeah.
But Pence doesn't. I'm not worried. Everyone's worried about Pence in America because he's so homophobic, and
he's anti-science. He's anti
like everything. Because he puts his faith or whatever it is, like religion's a choice, like science is not. It's
well said.
Well said. So. But he doesn't have the same, like this last record I wrote is called Cult 45, which is resident chump, as I like to call him. He's the 45th resident of the White House. So, but Pence doesn't have the cult that Trump has. He doesn't have that same vigor.
He doesn't have that cult of personality, does he?
He's not a reality TV star. That's the thing is what I find hysterical is when some of his supporters will come to my Facebook, or they'll come over to my social media, and they'll tell me that I shouldn't have an opinion when they voted for a D-list reality TV star whose show got canceled because he was so terrible at it, or that he would ever be someone who was a job creator when his show was based around firing people. Yeah. And that was his tagline: "You're fired."
And this entitled billionaire who says he's going to fight for the average American person. No. He doesn't even know any average American people.
No, he doesn't. And I would like, if the next time, if he survives to the next presidential elections, and they actually do get to debates, I'd like to ask him, like, how much is a box of diapers? What does a gallon of milk cost, or a loaf of bread? A gallon of gas. He might know that because of his pals in the oil industry. But ask him simple questions that people, what is it? What's the normal car note or an automobile note? How much is that? Ask him or how a bill becomes a law in America. Like, ask him like those questions. Ask him things that are based on civics. And I think we've seen that happening for a long time, coming from the conservative side, where they want they want to dumb down the population because they've started to remove civics from schools. So you don't know how our government works. You don't understand how people get elected. They don't understand the Electoral College, which is based on, basically it was created to help slave owners, and the fact that he lost by the historic numbers, 3 million people. He lost the popular vote by almost 3 million votes, and won the Electoral College by 77,000. So if I gave you 3 million or 77,000, which one are you going to take? The fact that we still have the Electoral College is I think, an abomination to what we, Americans like to say is, we're the bastion of democracy, when now we have a president who licks Putin's boots, who is saying that the leader of North Korea is his best buddy. I mean,
and he won't point the finger at the Saudi powers over Khashoggi.
No, absolutely not.
And again, it's like step one: dictator, discredit the media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's even saying like, get your news, get your fact from your president.
That's
it's
right.
like, how fucked up is that?
And that's exactly the type of thing that true tyrants and true despots say.
Yeah.
And he wanted. They actually tried to start sort of a state-controlled media for a while, and it got shut down pretty quickly because first no one wanted to watch it because it was terrible. And in fact, they kind of do have one. It's called Fox News, but it's
a bit of satire there.
But the truth is that at what time when President Obama was in office, it was the largest cable news as far as viewership. Now it's the least.
But what about the famous? I mean, even Fox News couldn't take his the whole Rush Wood. I meant to say Wood. I mean, really. I mean that the cabal of geniuses. Tell you what, go out there and just tell them that you meant to say wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I mean, and that's the thing. If I was someone who didn't understand how to run a country, like he doesn't understand how to run a country. You can't run a country the same way you run a business. It's just not.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works, because businesses are disposable. You can break them apart. You can sell pieces away. People are
disposable as well.
Well,
they're employees.
They're not supposed to be, but
yes.
But
let's face it.
But that's what the basis of being a leader of a country is that you're supposed to care from the bottom up, not the top down.
Yeah.
And that's every Republican and every conservative that's ever been in office. They always go top down, not bottom up. And we are a bottom up country, and that's just something that he doesn't understand as well. And luckily, what we just had was this remarkable movement. The Women's Wave, where we had 100 women elected to Congress on the 100th anniversary of the suffragette movement, when women earned the right to vote. In fact, at his State of the Union address, those the Democratic women wore white in honor of the suffragettes.
And Trump was victim to possibly the most sarcastic applauding I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, his daughter Tiffany wore white as well. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, which is his middle daughter with his American wife. She wore white as well, which I think is kind of a little bit of a fuck you to him. So, but I think he met his match in Nancy Pelosi because as much as people, the conservatives and the Republicans have spent a long time diminishing women in all forms of power in politics. And they did it to Hillary Clinton, and as much as people like to call her Killary and they believe all these ridiculous conspiracy theories about her, she's by the numbers, she's the most qualified person, male or female, to ever run for office, ever. And she did win. She won. She absolutely won. And she's the legitimate president of the United States of America. But Nancy Pelosi also has done more for this country than most people, will ever dream of doing. And she could quit anytime. She's at an age where she could go and spend time with her grandchildren, or I don't know if she has great-grandchildren at this point. But she doesn't. She stays to help Americans and to help our country. And Nancy knows Speaker Pelosi, I should say, knows, the Constitution. She knows the rules that we have. She knows that we have 3 co-equal branches of government. The president isn't above Congress, and the Supreme Court isn't above the president. It's 3 co-equal branches, and in order for anything to get done, he has to now deal with that co-equal branch, whereas before, when it was owned by the Republicans, both houses of Congress were owned by the Republicans, they just licked his loafers, and so now we've got Mitch McConnell on the other side, and he's not long, I don't think he's long for his office either in the Senate. So if we get a democratically owned Congress, then his administration is pretty much done, because Mike Pence is already in trouble because he lied to the FBI.
Yeah.
Because that's a felony.
But he's just one of the many, isn't he? I mean, unfortunately, stupidly, I follow Trump on Twitter.
I don't know how you
on
do
two
it.
of my accounts. I also end up getting. I'm amazed by Trump supporters when you. And it should be. It's like there's a lot of bots. There's a lot of bots. Yeah, but do not engage is like I try, but it's so hard sometimes because. It always brings to mind that phrase: "You can't argue with stupid."
Well, but then it's also important though, and it was I think it was Hillary Clinton's daughter who said that she used to walk down the street and people would heckle her sometimes, after her mother lost to Trump, and she used to ignore it, but then that would leave this void of them feeling like they won, or they feeling like they were right, or they were correct in their information, and then she started to stand up to them and correct them, and then that void shrinks every time, because we have to remember that. There is such a thing as invincible ignorance, and there is such a thing as mental illness, right? So that people, and a lot of those people follow Trump, and they want to feel superior. They felt inferior. I mean, we could go back to the civil rights movement and watch those young teenagers who were throwing milk and at when we desegregated schools at African Americans when they were led into the schools. We can look at those European Americans, those white Americans, and say, what happened to them when they were teenagers? Where did they go? Well, they grew up and they became Trump supporters, obviously. Many of them did. Some of them, I'm sure, repented. But at the same time, I think that it's important that you do argue. You may not win against someone who is invincibly ignorant. But you will pollinate someone else. And that's what I've done. People ask, why do you engage so much with people who just disagree with you so vehemently and are so vicious? Because the people that believe in the same way that I do suddenly begin to learn how to deal with that kind of stupidity. And they feel emboldened and empowered enough to do it. And it's been amazing to see in the very beginning of Trump's when he was selected, Das Vidania, when he was selected, how quiet the majority was, which is the people that voted against him. And now you see it, and it has followed the Bush years in a way very, very closely, and that I was against Bush, supported the troops. I come from a military family. I can't help that. But it's become similar in that I did the same thing. I had to stand up for my beliefs and the things that I say, and then you started to see other people starting to join in because they felt emboldened, they felt empowered, and also they understood how to engage with these people, how to debate with them, and have a discourse based on facts, not just on reactionary opinions.
Well, from an international perspective, I never thought I'd see the day where I'd see George Bush Jr. interviewed on TV and think, wow, that's a statesman-like, well-read guy.
I know. Well, I still am not a fan of Cheney or George W. Bush, but I would take them over
in a heartbeat.
Twice on Sunday. It is so, because at least they knew how to. They gamed the system for sure, but they knew the government. They knew how to do it, and they also knew the laws, and also they didn't commit treason. They didn't sell us out. They didn't do that. They may have violated all kinds of human rights and all kinds of other things and that war crimes and so forth that they got away with, but they did not. The same thing with when they do the Nixon comparisons. Okay, Nixon was a crook. Nixon was corrupt, but he was ours. He didn't sell us out to the Chinese. He didn't sell us out, to the Russians or to the UAE or anybody else,
Well, I saw a documentary recently in the UK, which the funnily enough, Trump family refused to have anything to do with about. But it was about a period in his life when he was living in New York. He was attending a lot of parties. There were a lot of women paid to be at these parties. There was a lot of sex parties, and there was a lot of women, women/girls of questionable ages, and
his friend actually went to prison because of that. The guy that would throw those parties, he went to prison because he's a convicted pedophile, and Trump attended those parties.
And the thing with a career politician like a Bush or a Clinton for that matter is that very early on they realise that's what they're going to do, and so did he inhale or not or whatever. They live their lives within certain boundaries because they know one day that it can come back. Sure. Whereas Trump, I mean, this was a book tour. This was a book tour, wasn't it?
Well, there's a great documentary on Netflix. At least it's available in America, called Active Measures. And if you watch that, it's either going to infuriate you or or at the same time it's going to solidify most everything that you believe or that you think is true, because the same things that Trump did in America during his campaign, the Russians did in Crimea. They had a similar Trump-style candidate against a female candidate. They would chant, "Lock her up, lock her up, lock her up." And when he won, he did actually lock her up for a number of years. And so they tried to use that same sort of principle in America. And unfortunately, there was enough gullible folks that fell for it. But then we have to remember, there were also 3 million more people who didn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where we have to, remember that when people say how violent his cult is and so forth, is that they're small, but they're loud, and we can be a lot louder.
Well, I think, the squeaking wheel gets the oil.
That's right.
And not trying to be superior or anything. Brexit,
sure.
But from an international point of view, Obama was such a statesman-like figure, and I mean, my mum's 83, and we watched the David Letterman interview with Obama, and it was like about 10 minutes into it, she turns to me and goes, I've always liked him. I do like him, she thinks Trump's insane, and it's just it was like, and you go back just a few years and you hear people saying, when Obama got voted in, the real sense of hope for the first time, and this was a watershed moment.
That's right, and where we were coming from with how George Bush had run the economy almost into the ground, and
now Trump's taking credit for everything that was put in place.
Absolutely,
and that's the thing.
What we're starting to see now is it took Obama 2 to 3 years to repair a lot of what the Bush-Cheney administration did to our country. So now Trump is coasting on the goodness and all the good things that President Obama did.
And claiming that it's all his work.
But so it's like it was Obama's military, that was Obama's economy, that was Obama's everything, and now it's going to start to, unless Robert Mueller gets him out of there soon, unless or Congress does it, because now the House, which is again owned now by the liberals and the Democrats, they own the purse strings, as far as budget, so he can't get anything passed through that. Also, they own all the judiciary committees, so they can actually investigate everything. He can't hide, even if he decides to stop Robert Mueller's special investigation, he can't stop Congress from investigating him or pulling his tax returns or anything.
Well, he's still got to answer to to that lady who's doing him for sexual harassment.
Oh, absolutely. And 25.
And he keeps trying to push that back.
And the fact that he, after he was elected, he had to pay $25 million because he was convicted of fraud, because of his fake university.
Still hasn't released his tax returns.
Right. The same thing happened just recently with his charity. That was forced to close because it was proven that it was fraud. And now they're looking at his inaugural campaign, where foreign money, it's illegal in America. I don't know how it is in other countries, but it's illegal in America for foreign countries or people from other countries to put money into
an electoral campaign, because that makes total sense.
That's right, right?
Yeah.
And he got $100 million or something for his inaugural campaign, and they don't know where the money went or who it came from.
And he always claimed that he was funding it himself as well, which he wasn't.
That's right. Or in that Mexico was going to pay for the wall and all this other thing.
Brilliant. I didn't mean write an actual
That's
check.
right.
So what the fuck did you mean then?
No, and it's funny because there's a joke, there's a ongoing joke, and I would hope that the president of Mexico would do it. Is that if Trump actually does, he said, the wall just got 10 feet higher every time, he'd get booed or something. I hope that the president of Mexico would build a ladder on the other side,
absolutely,
or like a nice elevator or something. It's like, what are you going to do? Invade Mexico? I mean, come on. It's just and that's what he's trying to do now with Venezuela. Is like he's really trying, which he normally would side up with, like the dictator there. Like that's his guy. Like just perfect. It fits his mold.
And Brazil's next after that.
Yeah.
I mean, what a sack of shit
that guy
totally
is.
Oh
my God! And the guy from the Philippines too. It's ridiculous. So.
And that's what's really disappointing, is that Trump seems to have it's almost like a pack of cards, like dominoes. All of a sudden, people. It's almost like him winning that election, vindicates other hideous human beings.
Well, it's what it's doing is it's weakening America, so that Russia can become a superpower again, and that's the reality of it. I might get poisoned now, but
you're in the right country for that.
Wonderful. Yeah. I know exactly. I know, and that's the thing is, American journalists have been attacked, and other journalists have been attacked around the world.
BBC journalist attacked yesterday at Trump's rally. BBC cameraman was attacked. The whole thing's on YouTube. It's on Twitter.
Oh, I'll look it up.
Yeah, look out for it. Or I think I retweeted it, so I'll retweet it at you.
Please do. That's insane.
Yeah.
And he does that on purpose. And yet, then he claims that we need to relax, and whenever the liberals stand up to him, then he says, they're so violent, and that's typical dictator playbook, right out of it.
He's just a fucking child.
Yeah. At the State of the Union, what did he say? We're going to beat ISIS in a week.
Yeah.
Really? The entire in all the regions ISIS is in.
There's more people here than there was for Obama. No, there isn't. Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Look at the pictures. No. They've been doctored.
And he said that he was going to do that for the first 100 days. He was going to defeat ISIS. He didn't. Yeah. And now he says he's going to do it in a week. Now he's pulling out of Syria, which of course benefits the Russians because that benefits Assad. Yeah. And one of the things that people attacked Hillary Clinton on was that she wanted to build a safe zone for refugees inside Syria, no-fly zone, so that any 1988 Russian MiG that might try to fly over and cluster bomb a bunch of civilians like they've been doing would get shot out of the sky by the United States military. And they, of course, that's not what Putin wanted. I mean, everyone has this idea. I think, especially in America, they watch too many movies. They see, from the Soviet Union days. They still think that they're that kind of a military power when they're not. They have one aircraft carrier that runs on diesel, that has a fueling ship that follows it. All we have to do is chase them in circles until they blow their fueling ship to the bottom of the ocean, then chase them in circles so they run.
It's a great cartoon image.
Yeah, and then they don't even have that really cool rubber band thing that shoots the planes off the end. It's a skateboard ramp. So
that's exactly what I call it as well. It's that rubber band thing. Yeah.
So if the pilot doesn't get enough torque, he's going in the drink. I mean, it's it's just ridiculous. And the fact that people they've made them so that they're not smart enough to know these things. They're not informed enough to know these things.
Yeah.
And so everything that he's done by destroying our traditional alliances, by wanting to pull out of NATO, that's something that Putin has wanted us to do for a long time. Yeah. That is to put Putin into power.
And ruined the agreement with Iran.
Yeah,
as well.
It's just ridiculous. And
it's like, but you agreed to this.
Yes.
It's like that just undermines why ever sign an agreement with the US ever again.
And that's why whoever is running, whoever becomes the next president, I know that it will definitely be a Democrat. It might even be a woman this time, because people are I think have a little bit of voters' remorse. in some ways, but also because there's a lot of really strong, powerful women, just like Hillary Clinton was. She was probably the best candidate. If she ran, I'd vote for her again. But
I think unfortunately she was also really hamstrung by the fact that she represented nothing's going to change. That was the perception. She represented
again,
to people who aren't doing well.
People, 3 million people voted for let's continue to go, and she actually did. She worked with Bernie Sanders on developing the new Democratic platform, which was going to be Medicare for all, which is, socialized medicine, which is supposed to be.
That's a bad thing.
It's so terrible. It's like, oh, really?
Look after your people.
What's the fire department in America? Like, do you only pay the fire department if your house is on fire? No, you pay the fire department in case your neighborhood's on fire, your community, because we're a nation. We are. You're a city, your country, your state, whatever. That's what it's for. The police department, do you only pay them, like you write them a check when something happens to you? No, of course not. And that's the same thing with libraries and community hospitals and so forth. The idea that socialized medicine was such a terrible thing was because the insurance companies were going to lose a lot of money, and the for-profit hospitals were going to lose a lot of money, and so I think that she was also hamstringed by, no disrespect to Tim Kaine, but I think that he was a very weak vice presidential candidate. I think she should have chosen someone who was stronger, but I think the next person that will win is going to quickly erase everything that he's done. Hopefully they'll do like the ancient Egyptians did, and they'll just chisel his face off of everything, and we'll never.
We'll never speak of this again.
We'll never speak of this again.
It'll just be like a part of American history. It's like, what happened between those years and those years? Nothing.
It's like, the fact that he doesn't care about his own family and what he's doing to the legacy of his family.
Yeah.
And what they're going to be left with. Because because presidents can't pardon state crimes, they can only pardon federal crimes. So if the states go after his companies and they shut them down, then his children are broke. It's a family business. That's why he's never been in Fortune 500 or anything.
But it's a failing business as well.
It's absolutely. He's a brander. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about that documentary, Active Measures, is that his announcement where he came down that stupid escalator was fake. He wasn't really wanting to run for president. He had gotten fired from his reality TV show, and he wanted to show the producers and the executives at NBC or ABC or whoever was on that he still had the power of the camera.
Because he's a big child.
And then because they paid all those people were paid to be there, and then. When he made his announcement on that escalator, all those people were paid to be there. They went and grabbed him off the streets of New York and said, "Hey, put this T-shirt on. We'll give you some money." And then all of a sudden, people said, "Hey, they like you. They want you to run." Some people are really excited about it, they're taking their hoods off, the Klan, and so he was like, shit, I guess I gotta run. So he did, and
here we are.
Here we are, unfortunately, yeah.
Changing tack slightly,
Okay.
How is Sir Francis Bacon?
Oh, Sir Francis Bacon is lovely. Thank you so much.
Is he going to be missing you?
Oh, he misses me already.
You've been on the cameras?
I have, and I when I was packing my bag, I have when I go on tour in the States, I have a dog bag, and I didn't bring their dog bag out. So he got in my bag.
Right.
And I posted a picture of it on my Instagram, and he's just looking at me with these big eyes, and I was weeping. I was like, "I'm so sorry, son. I can't take you with me." Luckily, I've got someone who loves him very much, and he loves her very much. So
good. So he's not like in a dog pound.
And also my older, smaller, but very.
Ballsy Chihuahua, yeah?
She is.
She doesn't know she's a Chihuahua.
No, she has no clue. She thinks she is a Rottweiler or something. But she's she also knew, she could tell, and she got very depressed, and so I felt pretty bad about leaving, but I'll be home soon.
And you've got that whole readjustment period as well when you get back, when they're kind of like, you left us.
I know.
You don't get any love
real.
just yet.
That is real. They will probably stay in my guest room for a while until I get back, because that's where they've been
until they feel like they can trust you again. Because like you come back, well, you might go again tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But that's one thing about animals, and that's another reason why I'm a moral vegan, is that they just have this unconditional love in them. They that they there's no grudges or anything. Really, not really. Well, not really.
Well, you got the unconditional love of pets and the unconditional love of audiences every night.
Indeed.
I mean, and as a performer myself, I know all about that.
Yeah.
And you're over here. How long are you in Europe for? Because I know you're on a cultural excursion, aren't you?
We leave the 28th. I think with the last day of February, so we're here the entire month of February.
Right. Okay. Cool. And
we're playing almost every day we've been here.
What? Haven't you got 3 shows in the UK, but you've got a day off between each?
I don't know, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have.
I don't know.
Okay. I've done my research. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think you're off tomorrow. Then it's show day. Then you're off tomorrow.
Oh,
show
lovely.
day.
Oh, great.
So get out, have a walk.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Enjoy the old country.
I would like to see it. Indeed. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you getting over to Ireland at all?
Not this time. We're going to Scotland though. So.
Right. Okay.
I've got a little bit of Scottish blood in me. So.
Whereabouts are you in Scotland?
I'd have to ask my mother. I don't know. It's not widely known.
Right.
But
okay.
I'd have to ask her. She's sort of because of my name, Otep, which is my real name. Everybody. She has it all written down. So for future generations, all my godchildren and everything, to know exactly where people came from and all of that. So.
Yeah,
I think she wants to get on that DNA test thing that everybody's doing.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
Don't get involved in that shit.
Yeah, I don't. I'm worried about that. What are you actually doing with it? They could say.
Yeah, I know a few people who've done that, and it's like, wish they had.
What was that movie Ethan Hawke was in so many years ago with Uma Thurman?
Gattaca.
Yeah. Remember they were able to do a lot with that. So.
Well, yeah, DNA. That's Jurassic Park, isn't it? Just make another Otep.
That's right. Oh no, please.
A Trump supporting Otep.
Oh my! That would be amazing.
Yeah.
We could do a UFC fight. Oh, and that's another thing that was great about it. I meant to mention this, and I think I got to go after this.
Yeah, cool.
Is that for the first time in our nation's history, we've had 2 Native American women elected to Congress.
Yeah.
Think about that. America as a country, the America has existed, empire has existed for 35,000 years of civilization was there, but as a country, we're 236 years old, which is nothing we're a speck on the chronology of countries. In 230 years, we haven't had any female representation of Native nations, and we finally do. And we have 2, and one of them's an MMA fighter. So that's also wonderful.
Yeah,
I'd love to see
cool,
one of those old guys, when he's talking about reproductive rights or something like that. Try to tell her something. And I actually, I'll finish with this because I think it's important. We did a show. Somewhere in Wisconsin, I think, in the States, and there was a clinic outside next door to the venue. Not sure why, if that's deliberate or not, but it was there, and there were some protesters outside, of course, and then they had some safety workers out there to make sure that the women got inside. And I'm a lesbian. I've never had to have any sort of termination of life in that kind of way, and I've never had an abortion. I've never had to, but some of my friends had, and I've been inside some of those clinics. They're some of the most saddest and I don't know, sobering places to be, because a lot of those women are there because they have to be, not because they want to be. But I went over, so it infuriates me when I hear, when the panel in America on women's reproductive rights is all men, and they don't even know how it works and all of this. And so then I go over to, and I see some gender traders, some women over there doing the same, and I walk over to them, and I told them, I said, so, hey, I've got a remedy here for this whole pro-life movement. I've got it. And then they came around me and they're like, okay, let's hear it. Is it based on the Bible? I said, no, it's based on science. It really is, and it's will work 100%. Mandatory vasectomies. we have boys as soon as they're capable of having, at that age of being able of maturity, of sexual maturity, mandatory vasectomies. Just a quick snip, give one for the team. And the guy, the woman kind of looked at me for a second, like she thought about it, and the guy, he just walked away as quick. But I was like, look, no baby batter, no baby. That's reality.
Yeah.
So, but they don't want to do it that way, right? It always falls on the woman.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna keep pushing for that. Mandatory vasectomies.
Well, let me finish.
reversible.
Well, let me finish on this. In Ealing, which is the part of London that I live in West London, there is an abortion clinic, and every weekend there's a protest group who sit outside, and I was going to go and play football in the park. I was with a friend, we were walking past, and there's a group of people protesting the protesters. So me and a friend went up and we shook hands with all of them, and I shouted a few obscenities at the pro-life people. A collection of odd misfits, something missing in their lives.
Yes.
Because
if they were so worried about it, then why aren't they worried about the children in Yemen? Why aren't they worried about what's happening to the children in America right now?
But what always worries me is it always comes from a religious sensibility.
It does.
And that has no basis in reality, frankly.
No, it isn't. And there's nothing, and there's no real biblical verse that talks about that.
No.
There is about taking care of the poor and taking care of live children and feeding them and making sure that they're safe and well. But right now we have asylum seekers, which of course that's part of the Geneva Convention. Anyone who seeks asylum in any country is allowed to seek asylum. Trump has stopped that. And he's putting them in concentration camps down by the border.
Which Australia already does.
Australia does that as well. And
Christmas Island.
We had Christmas Island, yeah. Great, good
That's
name.
That's marketing.
Yeah. That is branding.
Yeah, it is. But what I was going to say is there's a happy ending to the story, other than abusing these protesters.
Sure.
They have now been legally, the Ealing Council, which is the second largest borough in London, have taken out an injunction against the anti-abortion protesters.
Bravo.
They are not allowed to protest outside the abortion clinic or within X amount of distance, and if they do, they are liable to arrest and prosecution.
Bravo!
And it's a first in this country, which is it's not really something you'd see anywhere other than London, really, because London's like its own little country anyway. But it was. I just thought it was a really important.
That's wonderful.
Really, really important thing.
Yeah,
and if I can find it, I'm sure I can find some information on it. And again, I'll tweet it to you.
Absolutely.
I will, because it'd just be great to get that out to the wider world.
It would be,
because a lot of people don't realise that.
And I think during the Bush years, they did that with protesters. They said you couldn't be within 500 yards of the conventions or the debates or Bush, so they would put them in baseball fields and football for soccer fields for us. And which are what's the obviously trying to diminish that, but to do it for the right reasons, I'm 100% about it.
As if this isn't a hard enough thing to go through.
It is.
As it is.
It is.
Without a bunch of strangers and placards who know fuck all about what they're talking about.
That's right.
Just hurling insults and
I always tell them, go candy strike a cancer ward. St. Jude's Hospital in America. I don't know if it's global or not, but St. Jude's Hospital. I mean, they devote themselves to children from birth to teenagers who develop cancer and life-threatening cancer. Why not help them? They face it every single day that they may not wake up. So why not
save the ones who are already here?
Yeah, instead of filling yourself with all this vitriol and attacking someone else, why don't you go and give someone some joy while they're still alive, while
Absolutely.
they're still breathing?
That's
you
a
so
lovely
much.
way to. No, thank you. It's nice to finally get to do this in person.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And anytime you want to do an interview, I always enjoy your interviews. So
Cool.
anytime, give me a ring. My label's shit, so they are. They're
Yeah, but aren't they all?
Pretty much. But this one's really bad. So they're just terrible. So,
Okay.
but yeah, anytime, just hit me up and we can.
Yeah, cool.
do it.
Because I feel like we've done 50 minutes there, and it's just gone like that.
It did, yeah.
You know, and
It
we
was
could
also
probably.
supposed to be 15, by the way. But I was like, fuck it.
Brilliant.
I enjoy talking to you. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
really good.
Lovely. Have a great show. I'm
Thank you.
gonna be out there watching.
Okay. Wow. Great. Wonderful. Yeah. Give us a good review.
And there you go. That was our chat. A lovely woman. Always get on really well with her. And wasn't that nice what she said at the end there as well? So, and I think I might have to take her up on that and get her back on the podcast a few times. Always fascinating to talk to. And there's also some behind the scenes video that is for Patreon subscribers. Yes, I've plugged Patreon again. Good on me. Well, now we go into the final section of the show, and I wanted to mention Corey Taylor, who outspoken as ever, says that he's going to be dealing a lot with mental illness on the new. I'm sure he is kind of like, dealing, but he's going to be tackling it as a subject. There you go. He's going to be tackling it as a subject on the new Slipknot album. I think that's incredibly worthy, incredibly worthwhile, just something I wanted to highlight, really. I just think that's fucking awesome. Something else I wanted to highlight was Orange Goblin. Now, they did this back in November, but it was very, very cool. And it's a picture of a merch stall, but it's like in the corner of a building. And here's what it says underneath. London, as you know, travelling bands make the majority of their income from merchandise sales. So in an effort to beat the ridiculous merch concessions at the venue for tonight's show, you can buy Orange Goblin and Corrosion of Conformity merch at the Assembly House pub, conveniently situated between Kentish Town Station and the Forum venue. Pop in, have a pint or 6, buy your merch there rather than in the venue, and have a great night supporting great music. Please share and spread the word. And funnily enough, that is the pub that I normally go into when I'm going to a gig at the Forum. Fucking awesome. Very, very, very cool indeed. Now, I know I've had a few people ask about what's the score with merch. We didn't have any merch on sale at the at HRH because that was a 30% commission, 25% plus 5% VAT. So basically, it takes it up to 30%. Not 5% VAT, but 20%. Are on 25% is 5%, so in total it's 30%. Some venues, and that's an O2 venue, so that's not HRH, that's O2 who are doing that. All O2 venues apply the same, so it is a big fucking chunk of money for them if they've got some serious big bands for effectively doing fuck all. Is it frustrating? Yes. Is it? It's almost, and it saddens me to say this, but it's almost expected that when revenue is running out in the music business, people are going to be round the corner with their hands out, trying to take it out of bands' pockets because they're the ones who are bringing the money in, and that's where you're going to go, isn't it? You're going to go to the people who are bringing the money in. But I think more and more things like this may start happening. I'll be very interested to see how it develops. Would definitely consider doing it ourselves if we were on tour, if we were playing O2 venues, but haven't been playing them. None of the venues that we play have asked us for a percentage of merch, so that's all good. Anyway, I hope that addresses a few things there. Nikki Sixx accusing Kiss of using taped backing vocals in this final tour they're doing. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't really give a shit. If you're stupid enough to go and see Kiss, then you deserve everything you get. But all I do know is if you are on, if you're in an argument with Motley Crue and they have the moral high ground, you probably want to look at your position on that. I mean, fucking hell. when Nikki Sixx is calling you out for some bullshit and you're actually fucking guilty of it, you've got to hold your hands up and say, do you know what? Fair enough. We've been caught on this. You know, we're done. Nikki Sixx. Nikki bloody Sixx. Come on. Anyway, oh yeah, and there's the Dirt movie coming out. Anyone seen the trailer? Yeah, anyone care? I will see it probably just for a kind of, I don't know. It's going to be shit, isn't it? You see how that argument just collapsed like a pack of cards. I just folded in on itself, didn't it? Oh, I'm quite interested to see it. Oh, has anyone seen the trailer? Yeah, it'll be shit, won't it? I just went from cautiously optimistic, slightly optimistic, cautiously optimistic, to, no, fuck that, it's going to be shit. I'm not going to watch it. in record time. It will be, though, when all this shit, you know, it's... Whenever you watch anything like this, it's always cringeworthy. I mean, that's why Bohemian Rhapsody deserves the accolades it is getting. But when you see stuff done like this, Motley Crue, it's just, yeah, you know, Queen, they're going to put millions into it. You just know with Motley Crue, yeah, they'll put a bit of money in it, but it's not, and I don't know. Bands and movies. We should do a whole episode. In fact, maybe I should do one of those, doing the movies and music podcasts combined, where we'll get, you know, we'll discuss music movies. Yeah, or maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's a shit idea. Who knows? What else has been happening? Yes, Old Drake has been on Twitter to say, yeah, it might even be longer than 2020 getting a new Evil album out. I think he's just playing with us all, though. I think there'll be something soon enough. But yeah, we've got a few. I've got a few more interviews in the can. I'm going to be doing some interesting stuff this month. There's lots of stuff on Patreon. It just remains for me to say thank you very much, as always, for tuning in. You've had 2 podcasts in January. In February. In January. Yeah, in January. Yeah, duh. No, was it? Is it? No, February. Okay, look, it's getting to the end of the podcast. It's getting to the end of the podcast. To be honest, I'm feeling it. You know, I've been really putting the hours in here for you. I've been got some serious energy going here. Very nearly lost it in the end, in that middle section, and you know, I'm holding on for dear life here. So you know, just give me a break. So anyway, look, wherever you're listening to the podcast, be it on the road, be it in the gym, be it in the middle of a marathon, coke and hooers session, maybe you are one of the many female listeners who is coked up with some male whores. Who knows? There you go. Just a bit of balance. The balance that you love from a Bollocast. It only remains for me to thank you all for tuning in, for listening in. Please do spread the word as much as you can. That is the only way that the podcast keeps going. It's the only way that, frankly, I'm going to keep doing it. So please, do get behind it. Do support it in any way you can. Really appreciate it. If you can sign up with Patreon, great. If you can't, don't worry. This stuff is just going to keep coming to you. And if you have any questions or anything, you know, suggestions for people you'd like to get on, or try and hook me up over Twitter with people and say, hey, you should do this guy's show. You know, that'll be very, very, very cool indeed. So, it just remains for me to say thank you very much once again. I really do appreciate being in your ears. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, thank you very much. Thanks for being a bollocker, and I will get to you next month. Take care. Ta-ra. That's me. I'm off. Show's finished. Packing it up now. Just going to stop. Not going to say anything else. Just going to finish up the podcast. And that will be that. Just gonna not do anything. Just the podcast is ending. Podcast is ending now. It's ending. I'm gonna make a cup of coffee. Well, I'm just heating up a cup of coffee. I'm heating up a cup of coffee actually. It went cold during the podcast. But you can go if you want. There's nothing, this is it. It's finished now. Just going to warm my coffee. Then finish it up. Top and tail it. Edit. But you can go. We're done. Off you go. It's a bit weird. You just hanging around here, to be honest. I'm in the kitchen warming coffee. Warming it in a microwave, yes. Yeah, and don't be all snobby about it. You warm up fucking coffee any way you like. Just got a new microwave, by the way. Oh, one blew up, would you believe? It did genuinely blow up. That is good. That is good. Right. Well, I think you better fuck off.